First of all, check this one out. So this is a flying Doritos-shaped UFO, something that we have seen in the past as well, but now this is a different sighting being recorded somewhere else. But I remember seeing something like that, something like this. We've had that where I believe a kid actually recorded this by saying that, "Mom, get the camera!" And they ended up getting the camera over and they recorded this. But yeah, man, these suckers are here, bro. We need to tax them. But this is apparently a crazy sighting if it's true. Okay, I'll put it this way. Roll it. And conspiracies are running wild right now. People are also saying that the reason the fog is happening in the East Coast and all over the world is because of the amount of UFO sightings, the drone sightings that we're seeing. What do you make of that?
Information regarding the UFO outbreak, as I continue to call it, the one that's at least mostly focused around the New Jersey and New York area, is becoming harder and harder to come by. Mostly because, according to the mainstream media, and especially the government, the crisis is largely over. And there are far fewer sightings and far fewer clips like this emerging online. At least clips that are easy to find. Also, there are unconfirmed reports that new footage that's being taken, especially in sensitive areas close to military facilities, are being taken down or banned or demonetized or whatever almost immediately after they're posted. Again, this is unconfirmed, and so far I haven't had any shadowy government agencies try to take my channel down or ban any of my content, but nevertheless, this trend definitely...
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my last video ended up getting suppressed though, right? Not true for everybody, not true for every piece of content, but I guess it's algorithm related, right? There are certain topics that you cannot touch, which is, I mean, makes sense. But I want to show you this one, and then looks like we're gonna have Bob Lazar for dinner tonight, guys. Roll it.
Their patience. They've decided we're going to end this nonsense.
What? Wait, what?
The extraterrestrials have lost their patience. They've decided we're going to end this nonsense.
Okay.
There's been pushback, but we are moving toward disclosure, without question. However, we are also moving toward nuclear war. Here is my conclusion. They're doing incursions, using their devices, whatever they are, not just in one place, not in two places, not on one continent, multiple continents, and the U.S. government knows it. They know they're extraterrestrial.
Look at that. That is a crazy sighting. Now, here's the thing, right? After I get through the Cybertruck situation, it's gonna make a whole lot of sense. But again, I want to preface this by saying these are conspiracies, all right? Does not mean it's true, does not mean it's fake. So do not believe everything you hear and see, but also don't dismiss it either. For sure, some of you guys are here for entertainment, some of you guys are looking for answers, some of you are here for both, and I respect that and I get it. But here's the thing though, guys, like, don't believe everything you hear and see, but also try not to dismiss everything either, because yeah, Dr. Stephen Greer, that former FBI agent, came out, said that we're gonna be having a false flag very, very soon this month. Is it real? Is it fake? Listen, I don't have the answers for that, so I'm gonna keep it real with you and say that I don't know about it, right? But it's very suspicious, of course, based off the amount of evidence that we are seeing, the amount of UFO drones sightings that we're seeing right now. Highly suspicious, okay? And the reason that's been given here is because they are slowly but surely rolling this out, and the ultimate goal right now is to give us the disclosure. They don't want to like give us all of a sudden, but they want to like drip feed us, and in fact that's how it feels like that they're drip feeding us, right? And all of a sudden they don't want to make it all of a sudden, essentially. So where is this gonna go? Is it because whistleblowers are saying this is gonna be a false flag, which means not real. We're not alone though, that's true, is what they're saying, but this disclosure is gonna be a false one. Is that true? Is that not? And wait for the Cybertruck situation, and that's somehow linked with this whole thing as well, but roll it.
I can assure you. And so what you're seeing is a mix of military drones and non-human craft entities engaging in some, I guess, process. And that is all the government can do. And so what the ETs and their genius have done is put the United States government, the UK government, in impossible...
Say psych right now. Genius, right? Genius.
Position finally. In other words, we can't tell you what they really are, though we know, but we can't stop them from doing this. And they continue to do it, and they will continue to do it, and the pressure on the government, the embarrassment for the government will become excruciating. And those people within the United States government that somehow have decided that we will never know this truth as long as they have walked this face of the earth will finally just capitulate. And so this is an ET-driven intervention to get us into the post-disclosure world before we blow ourselves to hell. If we would end...
Now, this is one man's opinion, or is this something that he heard? I'm assuming it's like he making an educated guess there. But another very suspicious thing is that, according to Dr. Stephen Greer and, of course, that former FBI agent, whether you want to believe it or not, that's up to you. So take it as, like, I would say rumors for now. But they're saying that, of course, the government knows. Of course, like, these drones, most of the sightings that you're seeing right now is basically us with the reverse engineered crafts. Like, they are reverse engineering the real UFOs and the real alien technology to make these drones, this and that. And once we get down to the Cybertruck situation, new stuff is coming out. Apparently, the guy that Unalive had a manifesto, and in the manifesto, the short version, you're gonna get the long version. You're gonna get it tonight, guys. You're gonna get it tonight. Pause. No Diddy. Unpause real quick, okay? But the short version here is this, that these are our technology, and the only two countries that own it is the US, of course, and also China. Oh shit! Oh shit! And the drones that you're seeing are, of course, man-made, but reverse engineered, first of all, and only two countries that own it, China and US. And they do have the anti-gravity technology, but the manifesto, the guy that did the Cybertruck situation, his manifesto is that it's not, and he has a different term for describing anti-gravity, which we're gonna get into. Okay, roll it.
When they discovered space travel, they built small ships. When it was time to migrate to other worlds, they did not have the raw materials to build big 100-mile ships. So the smaller ships would go out into space and would capture asteroids in space. They would pull them into an orbit around their planets. They would hollow them out from the inside and build their spacecraft on the inside of the asteroid. That became their ship.
Okay.
And they would put propulsion systems on the outside, and then they would go out into space. They would grow their own food on the inside. They would look for water. Many of their ships, many of the crews of some of those maiden early ships perished because they could not find habitable environments or enough resources. But others did in fact survive. We face those same challenges here on Earth.
What do you think is the main reason for the elite, the government, to hide the truth about us being not alone? What do you think? Now, of course, like some of you believe that these are demonic entities, some of you believe that these are fallen angels, some of you believe that we're alone. But what I'm seeing across the board, right, across like just general conversation, and I respect those beliefs. If you believe that we're not alone or we are alone, hey, that's, I mean, listen, that's your opinion, right? Some of you are skeptical on it, right, which is something that I love. I love that fact. I always want to invite the skeptics on this one, because if you're a believer and you're skeptical, together, you know, if we throw arguments at each other, you know, respectfully, and we're having a conversation, we can get down to some real stuff, right? Because the truth is always somewhere in the middle. So here's the thing, right? Some of you believe that these are fallen angels, demonic entities. Some of you believe that these are like aliens, of course. I'm a believer that we're not alone. That's where I'm at. But some of you believe that we're alone. But general conversation that I'm seeing right now is that most people do believe that we're not alone. Whether you believe that these are aliens or demonic entities or angels or whatever, fallen angels or whatever, most people are believing that we're not alone, right? Why is that? It's probably because of the social engineering that they have done over the years through movies, through media, right? Yeah, this is something that you hear all the time. I mean, that back in the days, right, like 50 years ago, you would be ridiculed over that. You would be made fun of if you even entertain the idea of us not being alone. If you just ask, hey, I think aliens exist, right? If you said something like that 50 years ago, people would make fun of you, but not anymore though. It's kind of cool to think about it, right? Even though, like I said, I'm a believer, I don't think we're alone. Mathematically speaking, there's just so many too many galaxies, too many planets out there. If all of that is true, then us being alone, I don't believe in that, right? Looks like we're gonna have Bob Lazar for dinner tonight. Honey, Bob Lazar is coming for dinner tonight! Roll it.
There's another civilization in existence that's intelligent that we know about. And we actually have artifacts from them. The science and the technology can change us dramatically. It can change the way the entire world operates, the economy, everything.
And we have it.
Oh, we have them. You don't have to believe it, but we do. For instance, the propulsion of the craft. Everything that we have, whether it's a propeller plane or a jet or a rocket, it throws something out the back, either high-speed exhaust or a large volume of air. This is the first time there's a craft it's a reactionless craft. It's a field propulsion craft. And what it does is it creates a distortion in space and time in front of it, where space actually bends. I've dismantled it. The big thing is the suppression of extremely advanced technology and the suppression of unknown science.
Now, Bob Lazar is somebody, for a short little context here, Bob Lazar is somebody that claimed for years and years, for decades, that he worked at S4, Section 4 at Area 51. And he claims that he has worked on ET crafts. He even went inside one of those. Over the years, a lot of stuff he said came true. Like, bigger one is element 115, which was not even on the periodic table, but now it is. And he made other claims that also did come true. Now, a lot of people believe Bob Lazar based off of his story. He seems pretty genuine. The other side, however, believes that it's a psyop, right? So, in other words, it's basically like he's a government agent, and he's put in place to either spread false information or to get us ready for a disclosure whenever they feel like it's best to do, right? So of course there are both sides, but generally speaking, most people believe Bob Lazar's story over every other person's story. But let's actually dive into this Cybertruck situation that recently happened, so roll it.
You'll never believe the note the man left behind that caused this incident when he unalived himself in front of Trump Tower. He claimed that a country in Asia is using advanced Dior bags to stalk and attack the United States of America. He claimed that they're very advanced and capable of attacking anywhere in the United States, and that essentially this was to draw attention to his manifesto, and was an Army veteran and perhaps was suffering PTSD. He wrote in the note, Americans only pay attention to violence, and this spectacle was to draw attention to his discomfort with.
Now listen, I'm not American, but I would say this. It is pretty sad, but it is, if this is true, I mean, that little phrase, right? Americans just pay attention to violence. I would cut the Americans part. I would say us humans pay attention to the violence part. It's sad, but that's the reality, right? Like, we all are pretty reactionary. We pay attention to the bad news. It's like if that person just came out and said that, yeah man, these are Chinese drones, everybody would be like, oh, how cute. Now of course it does make sense though. Already, like, people believe that like the drones are ours, right? Probably China, Russia, or US. That's like the top three, right? People believe that. Shout out to Sam and also 25 Buttholes. That's like literally the channel's name, guys. He put together this clip from the Sam's podcast. I want to roll this one here. It's very interesting, guys. Roll it.
Sent to him on December 31st, just one day before the Tesla car bombing that took place in Vegas in front of Trump's hotel. This manifesto hints that China is in charge of these drones and that they are planning a large-scale attack on the East Coast very soon.
Uh-oh.
And I highly urge that you check out the rest of the episode after this video is over. I will leave it linked in the description down.
Now take it as rumors, but it's very interesting and fascinating because this stuff got leaked or revealed, or the manifesto thing was revealed a day before that happened. So there's some truth to it, but guys, like, don't fully believe in it, but also don't dismiss it though. Roll it
down below.
Do you want to read the email?
Yep. So this email came in on December 31st at 10:42 a.m. That is Tuesday. He said, in case I do not make it to my decision point or onto the Mexico border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1 January and keep my identity private until then. First off, I am not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. What we have been seeing with drones, he puts that in quotes, he says drones, is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China and the East Coast.
That's crazy. So that's the term that I was talking about, right? So generally speaking, most people would be familiar with the anti-gravity, right? That's something that was generally talked about, but he's given this term, maybe internally that's what they call it. Very interesting. So, you know, UFO, and then we had the UAP, unidentified flying objects for UFO, and unidentified aerial phenomenon for the UAP. So seems like maybe this is something that they call it internally, or perhaps this is what this gentleman was referring to it as.
But throughout history, the US, only we in China have this capability. Our OPCEN, that's Operations Center, our OPCEN location for this activity is in the box below.
Oh no.
China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they are using it similar to how they used the balloon for SIGINT and ISR, which are also part of the integrated comm system. There are dozens of those balloons in the air at any given time.
Context, he's talking about the balloons. I believe that happened early 2023. You remember hearing the story, right, where they shot down Chinese balloons, right? And then they showed us the wreckage, but then they also said that there are UFOs around Canada, US border, Alaska even, and they said that they shot down a UFO. Oh, shit. They did say that, which was separate from shooting down these flying Chinese balloons. They showed us the wreckage for the so-called Chinese balloons, but they did not show us the wreckage of the UFO till this day. Insane times, man. Insane times we're living in. So this is kind of linked with that too. I mean, if you believe in Dr. Stephen Greer, or what's this called, that former FBI agent, I mean, all of this is linking together, but this has this manifesto has slightly different version of what Dr. Stephen Greer and the former agent is saying, but it's still linking. And this is the point that I'm trying to make here is, right, like you got skeptics, you got believers. The truth is somewhere in the middle. And I do believe even in this situation, Dr. Stephen Greer and former FBI agent and this manifesto, this guy, I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. Something is going on. What exactly is this, like, related with the alien disclosure? Or is this like China just trying to attack on us? Or is it like another psyop? Is it a different false flag just being ready to happen? Yeah, man, it's strange times we're living in, guys.
The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircraft. They are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate.
Like I have been saying, man, they got parking brakes on, man, even in the skies.
U.S. government needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it and weaponizing it, how China is employing them, and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere in the East Coast. I've been followed for over a week now from likely Homeland or FBI, and they are looking to move on me and are unlikely going to let me cross into Mexico, but won't because they know I am armed and I have a massive V-bid. Let me pause right there for a second. So he says a massive V-bid. When I was talking to the FBI yesterday, they didn't know what a V-bid was. I had to explain what that acronym meant.
Yeah,
what are you fucking serious?
Dead serious. I said it twice and he goes, you said that word V-bid. Can you tell me what that is? For your audience, a V-bid, for your audience who has not been in the GWOT for the last 20 years, a V-bid is a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. In layman's terms, a car bomb, what we saw
Okay.
at Trump Tower.
Oh no.
So,
That's
backing
bad.
up, he says, I am armed and have a massive VBID. I've been trying to maintain a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me. Here's where he gets into the other stuff, and this is where we had to redact the names. Well, your producer redacted the names. I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered up during airstrikes in Nimruz province, Afghanistan in 2019 by the admin, DOD, DEA, and CIA. I conducted targeting for these strikes of over 125 buildings. 65 were struck because of civcas, that's civilian casualties, that killed hundreds of...
That word is bad on YouTube though, so I gotta scream over a little bit, guys. Sorry about that.
...civilians in a single day. U.S. FORA continued strikes after spotting civilians on initial ISR. It was supposed to take 6 minutes and scramble all aircraft in CENTCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear.
Of course.
I was part of that cover-up with U.S. FORA, an agent, redacted, of the DEA. So I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. I worked with redacted IO staff on this as well as the response to Bala Murghab. Redacted commander at the time, redacted can validate this. You need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war because this is a mutually assured destruction situation. Then
Damn. And if you are knee deep in the conspiracies, you must have heard this, that the aliens are apparently good and they are the reason they're here is to stop us from having a nuclear war. If you heard that, I mean, I'm not saying this is true. I'm just saying that if you're into conspiracies, this is something that has always been brought up, that the aliens are actually good. I mean, there are different kinds of aliens. Some of them are good and some of them are bad. But what we have heard over the years is that, especially when US dropped that nuke on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, this caught their attention, and right after that we had the Roswell crash, right, in New Mexico in 1947, and they were very, very interested, and they were very much worried about the state of humans and the state of the planet. They don't want us blowing these nuclear bombs. And ever since then, we had these sightings, and they have been multiplying ever since then. And currently, I mean, if you are following the news, it's always like, hey, WW3 happening, right? So, yeah, fascinating times, man. And this is that video that I was talking about. YouTube kind of suppressed it. Check it out. We had, of course, conspiratorial stuff in that, but there was like one story, which I cannot necessarily talk about it in here, for which... it got a little suppressed. So check it out, and I'll see you there.